Our movie today begins with Lee waking up thrilled and getting ready for an appointment. On his way, he buys some flowers, and we learn he's going to propose to his girlfriend. While driving, he realizes he forgot the ring, so he decides to run a red light and rush back home to get it. The moment he turns the car, a truck slams into him. The crash is so violent that we see Lee inside the car bleeding heavily. He later comes to at the sound of a woman trying to wake him and realizes he's in a hospital. What he can't make sense of is the nurse telling him, "Get well soon, sweetie. Don't strain yourself studying." He doesn't understand any of it, especially when she calls him by the name Mia. As soon as the nurse leaves, Lee heads to a mirror and is shocked to discover he has become a girl. Panicking, unable to grasp what's happening, he's approached by another schoolgirl who says the principal wants to see him. In the principal's office, he's so tense that the principal offers him chocolate to calm her, or him, down. Lee bolts for the bathroom, only to stun the boys at school by seeing a girl in the boys' restroom. He stumbles out and bangs his head against the wall several times to wake up from this bad dream, but realizes it's real. He decides to run away from school to figure out what's going on, but the body he's in is weak and collapses to the ground. There, he notices another girl from school named Seok, who sees that Mia has dropped a pregnancy test and realizes she's pregnant. She takes Mia aside and they sit together. Lee thinks Seok is the one who's pregnant, but is stunned to learn that the girl whose body he's in is the pregnant one. He blurts out, "What nonsense is this? How can a schoolgirl be pregnant?" Seok is baffled, asking if the shock has scrambled Mia's brain. Lee asks if she's friends with a girl named Dai, and Seok senses something is wrong. We learn Lee remembers nothing about himself or the crash. The only thing he's sure of is that he isn't Mia. He's a man whose soul is trapped in this girl's body. Seok raises a hand, ready to smack sense into Mia to test this, but Lee reacts instinctively, convincing her to help him. He still doesn't quite trust her and walks off, yet Seok keeps following. On the road, they come upon a fortune teller's tent run by a man named Sham. Lee grabs money from Seok and pays to tell their story, but Sham doesn't understand a word and shoos them away, calling it nonsense. Lee and Seok then wonder aloud why this happened right after Mia learned she was pregnant and right before exams. Lee hears a song playing in the street that he recognizes. He goes to the singer and suddenly remembers a girl named Hyun. He says the name aloud, which is also the name of a famous restaurant. Seok takes him there to eat, but Lee can't stomach anything because of the pregnancy. Their problem now is they don't know where Mia lives, so they go to a police station to report she's missing. The officer finds it strange that Mia's friend Seok doesn't know her address, but in truth, Seok only met her today when Lee was inside Mia. Mia's mother arrives at the station and takes Mia home. Lee is terrified to speak and expose himself, so he feigns being unwell and goes to sleep. The next day at school, fed up with a life that isn't his, Lee goes up to the roof to think. Suddenly, someone slips headphones over his ears from behind. A young boy faces him and says he's heard that music is good for the baby. Lee snaps, calling him an idiot for spouting such things in the morning, and starts roughing him up. The boy gently persists. He'll take responsibility for the baby, work another job, and be a good father to our child. Lee unloads on him, saying he'll be a terrible father at his age. The boy pleads that he'll do anything for her and the baby. Lee retorts, "If I told you to go die, would you?" The boy then explains how they met. His name is Chan. He was going to end his life one day because his family doesn't love him. Mia saved him at the last moment and kept checking on him daily until they grew close. She promised him, in that very spot, that they'd be together for life. He swears he'll never abandon her and will take all the blame and abuse on her behalf. But then he admits they'll terminate the pregnancy because the responsibility is too heavy. He leaves, shattered, and Chan breaks down where he stands. That same day, Lee and Seok are at the hospital. Seok is anxious about the serious procedure, but Lee reassures her it's what's planned and will be fine. Seok replies that what matters is whether this is what Mia really wants. A nurse arrives to administer anesthesia. The moment the needle enters the arm, Lee's ears ring loudly, and a fierce pain stabs his head. Seok tries to calm her, but can't. At the same time, Chan stands sobbing outside the operating room doors. Lee's mind flashes back to a singing contest where he was on the judging panel. A nervous girl answers questions about her song, ties back her hair, and when she begins to sing, Lee recognizes her. It's Hyun. She grows so anxious that she faints, and Lee rushes to help. Back in the operating room, Chan begs Mia not to go through with it. Mia wakes up, now herself again, having forgotten everything Lee did while in her body. She's terrified to find herself in a hospital, asks if their baby is okay, and doesn't remember Seok at all. Chan is overjoyed, thinking she's changed her mind, and takes her home. Meanwhile, Lee wakes up to find a man hiding next to him from a police officer. When the officer asks where the criminal went, Lee points him out at once. After the arrest, Lee is taken in for questioning and discovers he has woken up in the body of a police officer this time, and a corrupt one at that. He decides to hand the criminal over anyway because of his many crimes, and spends the whole day at work. Another officer asks why he hasn't gone home yet. Lee asks if he's even allowed to leave. The officer laughs. He's the precinct chief. He can leave whenever, but he hasn't gone home in 3 days, which is why his home life is about to collapse, but heads to the address on the ID anyway. With the ID, he finds a photo of the officer with his wife. Hungry, he looks for food, when suddenly a little girl appears. Seeing he's starving, she immediately cooks for him. As he eats, she chatters away. We learn her name is Jeon, the officer's daughter. She asks if he's staying the night, because it's the last one. He doesn't understand until she explains that tomorrow he and Mom will get divorced. Lee is moved that the child knows all this and asks if she's sad. She says at least they'll be rid of the daily fighting. Lee decides to call Seok for help. He still remembers her number, but Jeon eavesdrops and accuses him of cheating on her mother. He hangs up, and Jeon orders him to sleep in the bed and behave. He listens and lies down next to the officer's wife. We see Jeon is orchestrating all this to stop the divorce. In the morning, Lee wakes to a barrage of texts, but also a slap across the face. The wife is shocked he's sleeping next to her and that he handcuffed her wrists. Lee protests that he didn't do it, but she refuses to speak, texting that she can't stand his voice and demanding he unlock her. They turn the house upside down, looking for the keys. Lee realizes Jeon did this. He asks if their daughter is at daycare. They'll get the keys from her. The wife snaps that he's such a useless father. He forgot their daughter has a school trip today. She reminds him their divorce hearing is also today. She considers cutting the cuffs with a knife, but Lee laughs that it's impossible. He tells her not to worry. If she wants a divorce, he won't stop it. And they head to court, taking a taxi. The driver sees the handcuffs, panics, and throws them out mid-route, forcing them to walk. On the way, Lee spots Seok heading to school and calls out. Before he can cross, both he and his wife vanish, falling into an open manhole. Lee tries to reach the ladder, but it's too high, and his wife has twisted her ankle. He shouts for help, then remembers how he exited Mia's body. He thinks a slap might eject him again. He asks his wife to close her eyes and gives her a smack. She yanks his hair and admits she has claustrophobia. Lee's mind flashes to Hyun fainting at the contest from social anxiety, which made her collapse. We learn he and Hyun loved each other in high school, but she disappeared without a word. Lee picks up his wife, soothes her, and promises to go through with the divorce if that will calm her. He gently asks how long she's had claustrophobia. She explodes. "What do you even know about me? Do you even know my name?" Lee freezes. He truly doesn't. He tries to wriggle out of it. "Of course I know. You're Jeon's mom." She fires back. "Jeon's mom, whose birth you didn't even attend." Lee mutters, "This is too much. You're worse than teenagers." She doesn't understand that comment. He apologizes and says she's endured a lot because of him and has every right to divorce. Peace is a mercy. He tries to comfort her, then adds that she looked beautiful in their photo together. She's surprised. Which photo? He means the party photo. She's shocked he still has it. He once told her he burned it. He confesses he said that because he was too ashamed to admit he still loved her while she was enduring all this. Suddenly, they hear water rushing. The sewer had been dry due to repairs, but now water surges in. They try to flee and slip, falling together. She thanks him for apologizing before they die. He apologizes too, and she says she still loves him. They kiss as the water covers them. Later, the news reports both were rescued when the flood washed them into the river. The next day, at Seok and Mia's school, a teacher named Park is on campus. The girls film him, joking they should get him married so he'll stop being strict with them. Lee scoffs at the video and suddenly finds himself in Teacher Park's body. He goes to school and seeks out Mia, telling her he knows she went to the clinic to terminate the baby and scolding her for it. Then reveals he's Lee and was teasing her. Seok realizes she's late for work. Lee goes with her. He explains that if Park isn't dating anyone, no one can kiss him to pop Lee out of this body, so he's stuck in this belly for now. He asks why Seok works at her age. She says she's funding her scientific research. Lee is surprised a girl her age is doing serious research. A message pings on his phone from a woman who wants to meet. It turns out to be the teacher's old girlfriend, Mun, a stunning beauty from college. She reminds him of the first time they came to that very spot. He doesn't remember. She says this is where he proposed, and she refused. Lee is so shocked he splashes food on her. When they leave, she insists on taking him home because she's unwell. He pretends to be drunk and lost, so she'll drive him. In the bathroom, he's hit by searing head pain and collapses, but eventually comes to. He stumbles out, trips over Mun's bag, and realizes she only wanted to meet to sell him textbooks now that he's a teacher. Lee feels sorry for Park. He'd thought she still loved him. Seok realizes Lee is now in Ching. She also realizes everyone Lee inhabited had been in the same place on the day of the accident, and that she saw him that day too. Lee's memory of the crash returns. He goes home and relives his life with Hyun, the moment he confessed his love, and we learn Hyun is the woman he was going to propose to on the day of the accident. He finds Hyun's song and remembers he had been practicing the piano accompaniment for her contest performance. He records the arrangement and gives it to Seok, along with a letter saying his dream is for Hyun to enter the contest and for him to play behind her. Seok notices a ring in the car. Lee takes it and tells her to just do as he asked. Seok delivers the music to Hyun, claiming to be Lee's cousin, and hands her the ring. Hyun is deeply moved, sits beside unconscious Lee, weeps, and says she can do none of this without him, but she will do it for his sake and will fulfill the dream. On the day of the competition, Lee, still in Ching's body, tells Hyun he will accompany her on piano to support her as his friend's girlfriend and to apologize for everything. Hyun agrees. She sings through tears. Lee plays through tears, and he silently thanks Seok for everything. Then he finally loses consciousness after all that has happened. A year later, in the same theater, Seok sits in the audience as a graduate. Everyone Lee once inhabited is there. Mia gave birth, married Chan, and started college. The grandmother is happy with her children. The police officer didn't divorce his wife and is content. Even Teacher Park married Mun. Hyun comes on stage to sing, and we see that Lee, at last, has returned to his own body. He goes to sit beside Seok, who thanks him for funding her research. He says it's the least he could do after all her help. He greets everyone in the hall, though none of them actually recognizes him. And that's where the film ends. If you made it to the end, don't forget to like the video. Leave us a nice comment as you always do. And if this is your first time here, subscribe to the channel to catch all upcoming recaps. Goodbye.